Anotand and Numudan. What a game to kick this off with.
Yeah, we're opening up EGC Masters Fall. We're finally in the main event. We are here. We've gone through our qualifiers. We have our invited players, which would be Anotand, based on just past experience and results in tournaments, and Numudan, who made his way through the first qualifier. He beat Recon on his way here, so certainly no small feat. Looking forward to seeing him take on Anotand, though. Anotand, a veteran of the scene at this point, and we got a draft ahead of us. Game's just a few minutes away. This is looking exciting.
And the thing is, when we look at this draft, and I know we only have a minute, so I'll quickly talk through this one. We see Katie. Katie being priority. People do not want to deal with Katie. They don't want to deal with House of Lancaster. And Marlians, both of them getting the chop with that ban on each side. So I haven't been playing the game as much, but I haven't seen these civs on ladder in a while either. So, Winston, how's the balance been in the last while for these civilizations? Are they still that dominant?
I mean, Chinese is still like a very strong civ. Biz obviously still very, very good on land maps. They've been very consistent, I would say, for the past year, and the recent changes to them in the last season update, I feel like just sort of kind of cemented their build order, made it a lot more clear. And I think that didn't have a huge impact. It made them maybe a little more reliable, especially in that early game. But yeah, Chinese, we've been seeing some play around not using prof scouts, but realistically, I don't think we can expect anything else here still. It's still just the bread and butter of both Chinese and Jushi. So I think we're just going to have to see that here. Looking forward to it. See how Biz handles it. See what Anotand's got cooking, because he loves his aggressive strats.
Oh, and he's going to need to be aggressive. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going up against Numudan, a man who's known for those long games. In China, a civilization who loves to take them the long game. So guys, let's hop on in and roll right into game number 1.
Oh, and we are here. EGC Masters Fall is beginning. We've got Anotand and Numudan. Numudan here in the green pieces. Chinese. This is Altai, Interesting map. A lot of players complain about Altai sometimes, right? Because it can have some dubious spawns, but it looks like we've got a pretty clean spawn here. Relatively fair. Everything's in. Trying to just check gold mines. How does it look to you?
Yeah, it looks pretty fair considering the civilizations we have on the map, right? So Numudan, he's got that forward stone, while Anotand, on the other hand, he's got both his gold and his stone back, which is quite nice to have. But looking at those wood lines, I mean, Anotand's in a pretty good spot. Those are going to be some really easy walls. Now, the thing about Altai is what I've noticed, a lot of people do like to camp, and it's really hard to actually kill your opponent. So, especially on the civilizations we see here today, I feel like we might be in for a long one.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, could definitely see this where players just sort of turtle up a little bit here, but I mean, like you mentioned, Numudan's stone being so far forward means that, in those transitions, it could become a problem if Anotand is able to get some sort of forward position. I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy. No, I mean, Biz kind of like to get that slow roll into that big burn later in the kind of early castle age, right? That's when they really hit their stride, late feudal even.
Of course, but with these civs, you also have to consider what are they good at. Now, Byzantines is a civ that a lot of people have been going for that early stone. Of course, we want to get our second system out pretty early on in the game. Well, when you're playing up against Chinese, you are on a timer on whether you did enough damage for that economy difference to actually matter. Now, I know that Twitch chat is already complaining about Altai. And guys, it's just because we haven't seen it be exposed enough. We need to see what these top players can actually do so we can learn to enjoy the map ourselves. Winston, when you play on ladder, do you ever veto Altai?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was a very clear-cut answer. Wow.
What did you expect? I mean, I'm an archipelago enjoyer, so I don't mind a water map every now and then, because everybody else is banning a lot of the water maps. I don't know. You don't always have to. You can kind of pick and choose your land maps.
So with the
but I mostly play team games.
Ooh, Altai on team games, though.
Oh no, yeah. That's I don't even know. It spawns in very odd ways in team games. Not that it's bad per se, but I don't even think it's in the team game map pool, ever.
No, actually, we're seeing a grand winery here from Anotand. Anotand has been a little bit of a hippodrome enjoyer now and again, but considering again We're on outside.
This
We
map.
haven't really find the damage to do with those horses that are trying to dive in under a TC. So getting the Grand Winery, this makes a lot of sense because he wants to get as much oil as can be offered here. So, yeah, pretty standard opening. I think it takes us back a few seasons already, seeing that standard old Byzantines opening. And now from China, probably going to be getting pretty normal Song Dynasty following up here. Now, we talked a little bit about the pro scouting. Now, considering you're on a map like Altai, is pro scouting still something that you see as a viable strategy here? China?
Not really. I mean, it can work. I mean, it used to be like kind of good on every map, right? You just any map that existed, it was good on. Here, with the way that the sheep spawn for Numudan, maybe he doesn't need to. You do like having the sheep though underneath. Sorry, the deer underneath the mill, right? So it's just so bread and butter. It's just so simple, and like it just works so well with China that it's hard to imagine we're going to skip out on it the whole game. I mean, maybe an alternative is if it's not a very aggressive game and you're not spamming a ton of feudal units, maybe you can get an early granary boom going, and that's like kind of the trade-off is you get your granary set up a little earlier. But I don't know. I feel like you just go for it eventually. Definitely not rushing it in this context here for Numudan, taking his time to get there.
And getting a lot of wood in preparation as well. The man is patient, but with Anotand now getting onto his third cistern, this does feel like Byzantines has that pretty good timing, especially in this early game, to handle anything that China has on offer. Be it someone trying to be greedy, but both of them opening with a stable on each side. So Wheelbarrow instantly queued up here from Anotand. He wants to make sure he gets those upgrades as quickly as he can. With 2 on gold, he's not going to be rolling in on upgrades as quickly as we usually see with Byzantines. But now I think a big question...
This just might be a few horsemen to try and deny the prof scouts. Just get a little map control, and like we mentioned before, like kind of taking control of the center of the map could really limit Anotand's options later in the game until until Numudan is able to really control the stone mines again. I'm really thinking this forward stone mine could become very critical if Anotand is able to sort of exploit this a little bit.
Now, usually with Byzantines, the question is, how many cisterns do I go for before I stop? But Anotand has answered, I know how many I can afford to greed out on before I actually have to answer to this. Now, with the Horseman opening, he's already giving himself a pretty good answer to what Numudan has on the field, because you would be expecting spearmen, usually, from your opponent. But now, Numudan already making those archers, he's invested in an archery range, but we know archers just don't do as well against those horses. And now with his mobility, this is going to mean that those deer are going to be a lot harder to bring back, especially now with the third horseman coming onto the field soon as well. And having 3 horsemen, I mean, it's a pretty big investment, but you are going to get your value. That first deer pack definitely going to make it back, but let's see if anything else makes its way through.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And Anotand getting up to that first decision with mercenaries. We'll see. I'm assuming longbow here. It's sort of kind of a classic here. It's also quite good if your opponent makes too many Shuknu. Tends to be the option, but we'll see. Oh man, going out to the second berry pack as well. So really trying to get some oil in. Longbows it is.
And longbows is a pretty amazing answer to have, especially when your opponent is just going for those archers. Now, there are a few horsemen in the mix as well. Numudan not greeding out in the scout department too much. He only has 3, casually bringing those bad boys back. But now more horsemen on the way from Anotand. And it just doesn't feel like... It feels like Numudan's army is going to need to be prepared for this. Because once you get to that point where you have more longbows than your opponent has archers, it's definitely going to be a lot harder. And with all that olive oil that he's going to have access to for the next while, he's going to be pretty much okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think Numudan's going to be fine, though, here, right? He's got tons of units out. He's got equal number of horsemen. He's keeping up with the archer numbers. It might be a bit tricky matching into the longbows, but unless Anotand finds a really crazy angle, like we're seeing almost identical blacksmith timing, so it won't be like there's a huge advantage for one player. And it just sort of seems like we have differing investments in economy, right? Anotand spent, around 350, 400 stone on a little over 400 stone, right? On the 3 cisterns and the walls. Meanwhile, Numudan spent that on a few scouts and off scouts, right? So just a differing economic investment in mirrored armies. I think you're right when you called it at the start. This might just be a bit of a long one. Might be some time until we really get some meaningful action here, because I don't see Anotand really doing too much with these horsemen here. The base is just so tight for Numudan here.
I guess what you want to be doing with these horsemen is just force your opponent to keep on investing so you can ensure that you respond accordingly to what they're doing. With this, he sees that there's not a lot of investment there on the gold, so he realizes, hey, this might actually be a little bit of a longer feudal game, and that information for him is so important to have, especially in the opening match, because this sets the pace for how this series goes. Both of these players, Anotand has been a player that wins a lot more in recent times, but Numudan comes out of the dark, and when you give him the late game, he's a happy camper. Villagers have been acrotoid, and they do have their spears out fighting back against these horses, but that is a solid amount of horses there from Numudan.
And Anotand sitting on some oil, maybe just not even feeling the need, feeling super pressured. You saw he invested in the stone outpost on the top side of his base by those berries, and I think that just might become later a really good launching point for a Mangonel placement. I don't think he actually upgraded that with arrow slits. And we're seeing Numudan with a really heavy investment in the horseman here, actually. That's 16 on the map right now. Pretty big numbers.
It did stop, though. You can see now with the horseman numbers staying quite stable, he's floating a little bit of resources here. So he gives himself that option, and we know what the option is saying, as Anotand is doing something quite similar with the food on both sides now starting to go up. The resources are not being spent fully, as they're both thinking about Castle Age. And I guess for both of these players, this is now in a very important timing, as you need to ensure that you hit that veterancy as fast as possible. Now, China, they do have the ability to supervise, which makes sure that their veterancy comes in pretty quick. But same with Byzantines, they do have the option to enable the cisterns to get those speeds up and running.
Oh, and the archers get caught out on the back here, trying to read for the wall. Not really sure what the plan was there from Numudan, but now Anotand catching himself out a little bit. His horsemen, they're getting fully surrounded. It's a little awkward, a little dicey with the longbow damage from the back here. Just going to be enough to force Numudan away, but the numbers for Anotand, they looked a little dicey there for a moment. It could have been scary, but Castle Ages are coming in. Clock Tower, really no huge surprise there. I mean, I kind of like the vision on this map. Just planting it a little forward, you really feel secure for a while. But if your opponent has a lot of longbows, I mean, one Nest of Bees here could really secure the mid game for Numudan, right?
This is a pretty good example of how just one moment of you misjudging where your units are can potentially just throw the game. Because now those military numbers from Anotand is looking pretty solid with him coming into Castle Age as well. He's got enough gold in the bank to secure that first veterancy upgrade. And Winston, in this scenario, do you go for the horsemen or for the longbows instead? If you have to choose first.
I don't know. I think as Anotand, I mean, probably the horsemen. I think I would just try to afford both. I don't know. It's like a weird question, right? The longbows, maybe for the damage increase. You know, you have you know that Castle Age units are coming in though, so you probably want to just invest in anything, your own knights even, right? Or cataphracts here, but interesting.
That's a good point.
Cataphracts would be awkward.
The thing is, they could be quite a strategic play here, because when you do get those cataphracts out against an army that is so heavily archer-focused on Numudan's side, it does feel like a pretty nice investment to make. But now cataphracts being chosen. Winston, you called it. And the first cataphract is going to get onto the field. Now, keep in mind, Numudan is making his own lances. So Anotand does plan to have an answer to this by just getting that +2 ranged attack to ensure that he takes down any horse that dare comes his longbow's way, as another set of longbows are also on their way.
Did we get the Mangonel placement on that forward tower on Anotand's kind of forward berries? Yeah. Not yet. Okay, I was curious if he was going to start getting that, because that positioning looks really, really solid for just holding the center of the map, and really, it's going to be hard to take a bad fight when your opponent is invested in archers, but we're not really seeing that investment. No, we're seeing that archer. Never mind, I lied. He was just saving some res for a minute. More archers in queue. Lancers. And the relics getting yoinked.
And the yoinking at this stage always feels so risky, because you have a lot of horses on the field that can easily pick up what they need to pick up. But Numudan gets to pick up the first one, and Anotand now only having one on the map, second one now coming out. We do need to see a little bit more horse movement to secure those relics, because if he just stands back, Numudan is going to get a pretty healthy amount. And we know Numudan does not mind sitting back and just letting the game play out. And with a few relics in his corner, this is not going to be too difficult to hold. Now, those cisterns are getting expanded all the way outside the base now, as he needs to start thinking about those outside resources with the golds. About now is the time when they start running a little low. You want to think about what your next moves are. And we do see the walls coming on both sides at the top there to ensure that they can secure a little bit of those resources. But we don't see these armies being mobile. They're all just standing in the base and waiting for the other guy to make the move. One horseman, though, being a little bit cheeky here, poking that villager. Not to death, but he will go back quite injured. Lancer.
Sorry, I just wanted to get excited over something, you know. Here we go. The crossbow. Or sorry, the archer's getting cut out there a little bit.
Now,
but this is just little information gains, right? Like, just trying to scout them out, make sure you don't get caught out. And interestingly, what do you think about the investment in nested bees here? Now, they are clock towers, so they're going to have that extra HP, but when your opponent has cataphracts, it always feels kind of bad to invest in early siege, I feel like, because the trample can just get the cataphracts right on top of your siege 100% of the time, right? I don't know how much I like making, 2 bees here. It might get one good hit off on the longbows, but aren't they just going to go down to a good cataphract trample?
That's a good question, but I mean, for Numudan, that is a question he hasn't asked himself, because he's not aware of the amount of cataphract investment from Anotand. From his perspective, he's seen a ton of longbows, he's seen a bunch of horsemen, and maybe 1 or 2 cataphracts, but usually getting a heavy cataphract investment is not the standard. Another horseman going down, but these horsemen from Anotand, they're getting kind of cheeky. More cataphracts in queue. The next set of longbows out already. And it looks like Anotand, he wants to strike, and he wants to strike now. With Numudan securing, or almost securing 3 of those relics, this does feel like he needs to start doing some damage, especially when you know your opponent is now in Song Dynasty. And the longer this game goes, the more villagers he's going to be having in that beautiful safe base of China.
Yeah, you've also invested in, 9 cataphracts, and these are expensive units. If your opponent isn't making army right now, you need to fight, right? And if they are, you have to find out, right? And he'll see here soon that Numudan has been pretty much investing in army as well. Big difference in the wood upgrades, actually. It looks like Anotand has been a bit slacking on some of those economic upgrades, although he has the gold and resources for them. Wonder if that's just making sure he saves it for a rainy day. Like, 900 gold banked is quite a lot at this level, especially for only 15 minutes in a relatively passive game.
Oh, for sure.
Just a lot going on.
Getting to that level of resources, the bag, this is not just the opponent possibly making a mistake, but Numudan being the one who puts the pressure up, and Anotand just focused on ensuring he is able to do damage to this man who loves to sit back and extend it. It doesn't look like Anotand got that damage he was looking for with all those cataphracts. One of the villagers under siege, but aside from that, he is back in his base now with 1,200 gold. No upgrades still. And the big question is he just going to be reinvesting that into Imperial eventually? But again, the longer this goes, this is not something you possibly want to fight against. Now,
Anotand has split up his army. He's got his cabal on the south here, going to run into the Barbican, look at that boar, and try and maybe snipe some of these vills, but they're just going to garrison. But that leaves his archer mass pretty exposed. The rotation back to the center of the field here would take a really long time. So if Numudan moved out right now, it could be pretty devastating, but maybe just going to sack these vills for now? No reaction from Numudan? Oh, sending his own cavalry. Interesting.
Now, those villagers are just trying to gather a little bit of food. Horsemen now repositioning as well, so that they can get a little bit of damage done on the villagers. They are trying to repair that Barbican as fast as they can while the cavalry arrives to try and stop this from happening. And those horsemen, they are quite squishy when it comes to an army of lancers, but the cataphracts, I don't think he wants to lose these. This is definitely something he's going to need to be thinking about. A sneaky little trample on top of those vills could have been quite juicy for him to take, but we do see him pulling back the villager as well that was building that tower. He wanted to secure this, knowing that the boar is something to deny, and of course China doesn't get to farm transition this early on. being out on the board is a risky move, and he
Oh.
knows it's something he should be targeting. But the units are moving out. But like you said, this is not the full army, Winston. This could be dicey, especially with those nest of bees.
Yeah, he knows he's retreating faster from the middle. He'll think he gets there faster, but because he's pushing into the base, I actually think Numudan's cavalry are going to arrive to this fight a little bit sooner. The nest of bees launches a little half volley here, just tickling the longbows just a wee bit. And, oh, longbows stand still actually for a bit. Yeah, those nest of bees have to be really, really careful, right? Like, there's a lot of cataphracts on the field. A single trample right towards them will just mean the end of the siege mass, and with the fourth one on the way, this is a big investment in this sort of static defense that Numudan has on the field right now. But 18 Lancers, but 20 Cataphracts, 40 Longbows. Anotand's army looks just super scary. It's superior units.
And Winston, it seems he's noticed that there's a double broadaxe upgrade missing and horticulture also coming on in now, but pretty quickly. So I'm expecting those to be boosted by those cisterns at the back of the base. Now that he's getting those in, he spent a little bit of the gold, but another thing he spent that gold on was, again, more cataphracts. He seems to believe that this is the move from him now going out on the ball himself. That's
to the gold, actually, right?
That's the gold, yeah. I was going to say, that's a lot of villagers. But securing this with another tower as well just means that probably Numudan's going to have a hard time actually shutting this down. So another tower
the
also.
cavalry!
Small raids coming on in, or one cataphract at a time just sneaking in. A keep here now in the middle does make this a little bit scarier to engage into, but these horses, again, looking for the damage on that boar. They know the villagers are there, they might as well do it, and they did see the army in the middle ready to commit. Villagers now running for their lives.
But what is Numudan going to do here? He has to make a choice. He's peeling off his cavalry when I feel like... Couldn't he have just gone for the gut of Anotand right here, right now? Am I crazy? And send reinforcements to defend this, maybe? Like, I wonder if he should have just gut punched down the middle with all of his forces. He had equal number units, and it looks like he may have just missed this opportunity, but he is going to save the villagers just in time with his cavalry.
The question you always have to ask yourself, did my opponent invest more than I did? And where is that even fight going to happen? Because that is, again, a type of play that Numudan would not take. He would not take these risks. He likes to play it safe. He's not going to go and engage into an army, and he's not sure exactly how his opponent has invested, especially considering that he's floating 2,300 gold in the bank as well. So, keeping it safe, knowing that he's not the one who has to force anything. He's going to get to late game China. Although it does feel like Anotand is still in his comfy place. He still has the big gold on the south side there too, and Numudan is already out there on the big gold himself there in the north.
Oh, well, the villagers' little dances back and forth here, but we actually saw a big granary investment now from Numudan, so I think you're right. I think he's just waiting for that granary investment to fully finish, to fully finalize, maybe build the Great Wall Gatehouse kind of right in front of it, just protect that location really nicely once he's able to get that granary food. Big fight here, a little brawl.
That is a very dicey fight here because I don't know how this ends. It feels like the cataphracts are in a position where they can trade pretty well, but it doesn't look like the trade was favorable enough for Anotand to try and stay here. Cataphracts
Oh, the trample!
in. Disgusting, Winston. That was a lot of damage going on in, and the Lancers, they're pretty much melting.
There's just more. Yeah, but there's just a lot of Lancers still, and the Cataphracts, they are really expensive losses. Each one going down is so much, but it looks like he'll have just enough to hold the line here. I wonder if he goes back and heals these, because they are some low HP but very expensive units. Yeah, he's going to exchange forces and maybe try and heal up those units, and we see the Spearman and Crossbowman composition as well back in the base, so even further slowing down. Just 5 knights on the field here for Numudan. He was able to get that keep up in the center, which would slow any kind of middle advance, and I think this game's going to go to Imperial Age. This longbow army has not moved in like 8 minutes, so I don't see anything changing that.
But what I like to see is that Numudan, he knew how important that food resource was, and he went back with the villagers and tried to resecure with the Barbican too. But pulled back because Anotand knows the same thing. He knows he needs to go and do some damage to the boar, because as long as that boar is there, that's a pretty big helping of food. He knows about this farm transition. It does take a while to get back online, and those cataphracts being healed up very, very slowly. But like you said, they're expensive. We got to keep those boys fit.
Yeah, it's actually a really big pickup for Anotand. If the game really does stall out that long and he's able to, that's going to be nice for him, because that'll be a little shock, a little extra, especially when you have this Imperial Age rolling in. Being able to upgrade those cataphracts and have an extra 8 or 9 of them just because you're able to heal them all up is going to feel really good later. And Imperial Age certainly is going to be on the menu here. Anotand has just placed a foreign engineering company, and Numudan not going to be too far behind. I'd be kind of surprised if we see the Spirit Way right away. I think we're going to see the Great Wall Gatehouse. I think we see a prep stone wall there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
there it is.
so he gets. This is just something he needs to do to be his
Yeah.
best Numudan self, to ensure that he gets to get all of the food and make the late game real long. And that's exactly what this man is planning. But in what case would you choose the Spirit Way over the Great Wall Gatehouse in this scenario?
Oh, sorry, what was the question? I was reading chat.
I was asking, when do you choose the Spirit Way over the Great Wall Gatehouse as China?
Well, if you're going any of the Dynasty units, right? If you have those Union Mass, it can be nice. If you're going Fire Lancers, it can be nice, right? I mean, you get the text cheaper there. That's when. Really, it's kind of that simple. I think the Great Wall Gatehouse is very standard, though. It really does help shore up the map. Its DPS is absurd. But we're having some of those spicy French cannons at the field from the Biz.
And those are so easy to protect when you have 26 cataphracts along the way. We do see those launch sector coming on out as well. Probably ones coming out of the free production buildings we get as the Byzantines. But now with those French cannons, that keep in the middle is not going to be as spicy as it needs to be. Yeah, the Golden Horn Tower, old Whammon brain just not staying up to date. And the cannon emplacement now for that keep as well. You realize that, hey, I want to get the stone, I want to secure my base, but with the cannons now rolling in, the question is, how long does he hold? Anotand's army is looking really scary. We've seen those knight-only compositions coming out of some people, but cataphract only is the next layer of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to get there, especially when you have 75 of your population kind of bottled up in these longbows. So it won't be until we see some sort of exchange. But keep in mind, Anotand's army is not only is it really high quality, but it's also like pretty hard to replace, right? If all of these longbows go down, like things are going to get spicy. We have an interesting little raid, sort of running past the mangonel emplacements, which I mean, he gets through. Gets a nice raid on the wood. Only 50 wood in the bank for Anotand. This is obnoxious to deal with right now.
And it's such a hard point of the game when these wood lines run out, but we can see those little lances are just going to be now open to raiding. They've already made it through the wall, and there's a bunch of juicy villages, but at the same time, we missed the keep going down with that juicy cannon emplacement as well. And Anotand, he's got his eyes set on the main base and not on those little raids on the side.
Yeah, one less keep. Trackety in shambles. Wow. Look at this. Oh, man. 4 Bs on the field. We do see the hand cannon transition from Numudan. This little raid. Wow. I'm trying to think about what Numudan's like winning condition is in terms of army composition. And I guess it really is just trying to replace your crossbows and archers with the hand cannon mass, right? I think the spears make a lot of sense to keep, but you're going to need the economy to keep milling those, right, into the 75 longbows on the field. I don't think Lancers are going to be the answer here. I think it's really going to be hand cannons, but that's where gold kind of becomes a big issue. We do see Numudan on that top left gold. I think he's just slurping that up with like a billion villagers kind of in that north left corner. Yeah.
The Barbican also
North left.
being... It's okay. You'll find it. Okay.
This is south, but that's okay. Yeah, Numudan. We're Numudan. Numudan North. Okay, whatever. It's okay. Vodka, he just woke up. It's actually less fills than I thought that would be. Okay. Interesting.
Now, him securing this gold is quite critical, but the question is he actually going to have the army to survive, to spend that gold? But the STBs, they're in a dangerous position here. Cataphracts want to make a charge, but they do pull back, and STB's getting a juicy shot on those longbows. And Anotand's not feeling too confident about keeping this push going.
Yeah, especially you want your longbows to get that silk bowstrings upgrade, which is coming in, which is going to be very, very critical for engaging against these nested bees. So you just have to wait a little bit longer, but important upgrades are coming in on the side of Numudan. The economy it's just there for Numudan in this context. Things are just looking good. He's got things rolling, and this longbow mass is really strong. But again, we mentioned this, like I've said this like 3 or 4 times. If this gets traded down in a big confrontation, and Anotand doesn't come out convincingly ahead, his army just isn't that replaceable, right? It's been a slow build up to this, whereas Numudan's forces, he's been able to take a lot worse fights across the game because he's had a better income over the course of the game. Oh man.
Now, he is picking off a villager here and there, as we do see that villager kill count slowly going up and equalizing. Numudan, that earlier raid, he did an insane amount of damage. And Anotand may realize that he actually needs to find that level of damage too. The longbow mass is looking scary, and the incendiary arrows are coming in soon as well. The singular French cannoneer at the front, I assume the next one, is making his way here. He doesn't want to risk this. He needs to be so careful.
Whoa, moving forward. Just gonna focus down one of the nested bees. Oh. And this mass is just... It's just impossible for Numudan to engage into this unless he really commits everything, and really nothing Numudan is making beats this except the nested bees, right? Like the hand cannons lose, the crossbows lose, the spearmen lose. I mean, there's only 2 lancers on the field, so it's not like those are gonna win. And now the longbows are outranging.
Yes, and they are doing such a good job against the siege, but with all those spears at the front, he's just not going to be able to do anything against this. The cataphracts are a little bit scared of the spears here, but a little bit of kiting, and that's going to be equalized in a second. We see those longbows making history as they're just taking down every single spearman, making his way forward.
The cataphracts! Oh, and all the nested bees are gone. Now the longbows are just going to be completely uncontested here. And the cataphracts, when will they make their charge? When will they make their stand? And Numudan realizes he has just nothing to fight these longbows. And, you know, I was sort of musing about what Numudan's comp should be to beat this mass. And I guess there really wasn't anything that he was fielding. Maybe he needed more lancers. Like Palace Guards certainly aren't the answer. Just better nested bees? More? I don't know.
We can see that the military value lead looks like it was edging the one way the whole time, but it didn't feel that far ahead here. At the same time, the economy, we do see where that raid did real damage, and Numudan loving his late game, but against that army of Anotand, this was just a little bit too tough. But by the end of that, I felt like Numudan had a lot of unspent resources, and he just wasn't able to get the units he needed to actually deal with that massive longbows. Winston, you say if he loses the longbows, but I think it's pretty hard to lose the longbows if there are more than 70 of them.
Well, there were opportunities, and I think those are lost opportunities. And I think in those moments, you sort of mentioned this fits into Numudan's playstyle, but I think those lost opportunities have to be like discussed a little bit, right? There are moments where Anotand shifted twice. Anotand shifted his whole cavalry force down to the south, down to this Barbican. That essentially put Anotand's whole fighting force really out of the game, right? They were just no longer in the center of the map, and I'm really wondering if, as soon as Numudan had that keep up in the center, and it was the second time that Anotand shifted his cav there, I'm really wondering if Numudan should have just pushed in and gone for the longbow mass, which was completely exposed. There were barely any defenses. Anotand had no keeps to defend. He just had one mangonel emplacement there. All of his other mangonel emplacements, I believe, at this time were on the side. And what did he get out of the fight on the south? Sure, he traded against some of the cataphracts, but we saw Anotand was able to heal those up, and those came in clutch in that final fight there as kind of that threatening final blow, forcing tons of spearmen onto the field, which didn't really accomplish all that much against the longbows. So I think there were opportunities. I think just letting Biz just slow roll into their best unit composition and never trading down when you have a better income is, well, not trading down, I guess, maybe in the best way. Like this fight, right? It's like right here. Like, why are his units here and not in the middle, right? And just killing. It's kind of the question I have. I don't know. Maybe that's hypercritical, and it's really easy to make that judgment now with the perspective of everything, but it's just one of those things, right? Where I think you have to see it.
Now, as a gold chat, I think most of us in Twitch chat and YouTube chat were sitting there like, I would have executed that. But guys, you know how difficult it is when
It's hard.
There's a famous quote: everyone has a plan until there's a knight on your gold, and I think that goes for every situation in Age of Empires. But ladies and gents, we have Frisian marshes, and we have HRE against Ottomans. Ottomans on Numudan. I'm kind of excited. I want to see those great bombards in a 1 hour, 30-minute game. Ladies and gentlemen, will this be a 1 hour, 30-minute game with Numudan on auto chads and Anotand as HRE?
I think we're going to see a lot of spearmen, right? Maybe not. I feel like this is going to be a little bit of an aggro game, right? We immediately see the drush from Anotand. It's sort of been the meta on Frisian for a while. It was the same way at the Steel Series event, right? This is just sort of how you play this map now. Is the threat of adding a dock is so high, and it's so valuable that you sort of need to have that map presence to deny that. And there's also forward resources that you can sort of punish with a tower or two. So getting enough spearmen to kill your opponent is really important.
Now, that's usually where people ask, okay, but am I going to outdo Ottomans? And the answer is yes, if you have HRE spearmen that run just that little bit faster. And I've seen a few players even pull the Prelate a little bit forward when they start denying those resources, but Numudan is on the gold pretty early on. So this spearman that lands is probably not going to be doing it too much. He is going to force Numudan to, not get all the gold that he would like, but this is not a normal Ottoman's opening. An Ottoman's opening that we're used to is seeing a military school or seeing a barracks. This is a very safe, I'm not going to take any risks, Ottoman play here from Numudan. But Anotand only investing in those 2 spears. We'll see if he queues up the next one, but I would be quite surprised if he does. So getting those villagers just a little bit poked out.
Wait, how much gold does he have? He just dropped off. Wait. Okay. That was close. When the first one dropped off 2 gold, and he was at 192, I was very scared. The second one had, 9 gold? Okay, so he had enough. For a second, I thought Numudan just miscounted, but he didn't. Of course not. High-level player. They don't do that kind of thing. I do that kind of thing. I'm projecting.
Sometimes we do have to believe that these perfect players can make mistakes too, so we can not be so affected by when we do them ourselves. Now, Anotand is on the gold. He's going to go for his own feudal age, but with the twin minaret Madris coming on out from Numudan, we are going to ask ourselves, what is next for this man? Because the stone is also going to be denied based on where it spawned, aka right next to the gold vein. And the secondary gold vein, a little bit to the left, is also going to be hard to reach. So Numudan is probably going to have to find some other answers and delay that usual Ottoman steam that they build. But this is feeling pretty good for Anotand because he's setting the pace of the game already.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be the end of the world. You just build a single archery range, you get 1 or 2 archers out, and the spearmen are forced back, and then you can get your resources again. It just matters, like you said, it just sort of gives Anotand, I love it when Anotand builds the Minework Palace. I love it. So we're going to see a very aggressive game. Oh, I'm so excited. So Horseman Spearman might be even the idea here for Anotand. That's exciting. That's
especially because you know your opponent is going to need to go for something like archers. So you already naturally transitioning into horsemen is going to make this a lot harder to handle now. So now Numudan getting a lot of resources ready to deal with those spears so that he can get back on out there. But with the Minework Palace coming in not too quick, he's taking his time, ensuring he has the resources to actually use it. So leaving a few out there on gold does feel like he's going to make sure that this timing works well. He does have the vision, and Numudan knows exactly what is cooking exactly, but minus the Minework. I don't think he spotted it with that scout. It doesn't look to be the case, but he's about to. And does the tune change? He has 2 archers.
Does the tune change? Do you think Numudan's just singing a little song in his head, and now it just changed, like record scratch, and now we're just on a completely different song altogether? Okay, what song do you think we now are listening to if we are
I'll sing it
Numudan's
for you guys here. I'm going for archers. Very good. 2 archers. Nice. I can go on map. Good. And now I can kill Spearman. Oh no, mine work, big problem. And now he's going to need to find more resources quickly because he knows that this is a ticking time bomb. When those upgrades come on in, it's not going to be trololo anymore. It is just going to be, I need to respond. And his response here, he says, I need more food. I need to make units right now. And that is probably the best course of action here. He does get his own stable so that he can make sure he gets his Sapahis to make the life of Anotand a little bit less colorful.
Did Anotand already research all pikes? Did I miss it? Maybe he already got it. I'm not actually sure. I mean, he's got Vils on gold, so he'll get the tech. Oh, not quite. Okay. In a minute.
Now, that stable
Spicy stuff.
He's already got the food in the bank, Winston. This man, he wants to make an army and he wants to make it count. But Anotand, he gets his own dock. He says, you dock, I dock, no problem. So, because I can make Anotand's accent. That's my favorite. No problem. I will make a good units and we will attack. And I will get good more food. And what then? Then you are dead. I know, I am HRE. I'm best player.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate, actually. That was a very good Anotand impression this time around. So Spahi Archer, I mean, the Archers aren't going to be produced anymore, right? I mean, maybe just a few. You're going to need a few. I don't know. Spicy stuff for Numudan to have to figure out. Like you said, no middle school, still just completely ignoring the stone. So kind of missing out on, in air quotes, like a really strong, like, part of Ottomans, right? Sorry, the words just evaded me there. Wheelbarrow as well. Okay, interesting stuff. It's a morning. It's a morning, everybody.
It's okay.
I love tournaments.
Winston is using all 16 of his English words to do it today. And I mean, when you're playing the Ottomans, the vocabulary is going to take its time to get on out.
It's not 16. It's 23.
Okay, sorry.
Get the numbers right.
Anotand getting an upgrade. At least I was going to say he's the only one, but no. Numudan says, I need some wood myself. I'm going to be making more docks. And another dock is placed. Anotand, yes, I make more docks as well. So these guys are really leveraging the food on the map and trying to get that army as chunky as possible. But Mindwork Palace, ladies and gents, there is one special upgrade already coming on in.
Owl pikes. All pikes. All owl. I don't know how to say it. I just say all every time, and no one's corrected me ever in my life, so I feel like I'm getting away with that.
You're perfect, Winston. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But those Sapahis, Winston, they might be even more perfect. As they're making their way towards Anotand's base, and we know those sticks are pretty long, they're going to try and take a trade or two if they can, but with the amount of horsemen now on Anotand's side, he decides to back off. And he makes another Spahi. He realizes, hey, this might be a little bit too risky for me. Because now this is not the usual Ottomans ramping up. This is not a military school Ottomans. This is a, I have to pay for my units Ottomans.
Yeah, and it's tricky too, because you're not just against normal horsemen, right? Like, Mindwork horsemen are no joke, and I think they just sort of beat Spahi, especially if you have like one or two spearmen in the mix. I think you just beat Spahi like outright, right? At least in small numbers.
Yeah, with these small ones, definitely. Anotand, I like this. I really, really like this. A lot of players, from what we see, is they run in, they see, I can't get any villagers, I'm not doing any damage. Anotand's just like, no problem, I burn a house. And he just forces the army.
Or he finds a bunch of villagers?
And surrounds. Disgusting. Scout.
He's going to sack a scout.
But it's worth it. One villager kill, definitely worth a scout. He goes down, visioning as hard as he can, sends the message back to the base. He knows where the villagers are. He knows what the wood line looks like. And Anotand has got the information for later.
Oh, and I think he just spotted that villager there, too. Maybe he's going to send around to loop. Maybe, mayhaps. And the threat here really is if you ever lose a fight too poorly, the game's just sort of like over, right? Like if you lose a fight and you can't contest the map, your docks are just going to be instantly destroyed, right? And I think that's just kind of the end of the game. So we're going to see pretty heavy investments into Feudal Age for a while. I don't think we're going to see any greedy Castle Age clicks here for a little bit. And we see some upgrades. Oh man, Blacksmith, the Minework, just churning out techs. So hot.
Winston, I don't know if you saw that, but there's an archery range coming out from Anotand as well. Ooh, and a fight with these horses. They are taking a really good one. As a Asapahi maybe paying the price here, but that is a very awkward position to lose yourself in. Villagers now, they are running a little bit low on the food as the sheep is running out now. The Spahis, their reinforcements have arrived. But what I wanted to point out is Anotand went for an archery range. So now possibly going into archers against the Sipahi mass, it does feel pretty risky, or maybe he's just setting himself up to be able to do so if the spearmen arrive.
I think it's a just-in-case situation. I think maybe he built it getting into his head, thinking, oh, Numudan will react by making spearmen. Not realizing that Numudan might just be feeling comfortable doing a mirror here with the horsemen into Spahi. But we'll see. I mean, it's important to have the mobility, but we did see the imams for Numudan here, so getting some of that feudal healing, those little skirmishes actually worked out a lot in Numudan's favor. He's able to keep a lot of his units alive, and now we're finally seeing the space and time being committed to those military schools. So the ramp is here for Numudan. It took him a little bit of time. Ooh, did a villager go down? Yeah. Another vill died.
That is pretty massive, considering Anotand's economy is pretty chunky here, 45 to 37. I mean, when you're looking at the resources of Numudan as well, he's thinking about castle. Well, Anotand has the same thought. They stopped investing that heavily into the horse mass, but Numudan, he's got a little bit of extra food. He needs to ensure he keeps spending it. We do see that one more spy in queue, but that could just be military school pumping out now. And that is the position for Ottomans where they feel pretty good about this, because they are happy just letting the free units come on out.
Did Numudan just sort of like forget about Metters? I guess maybe he doesn't want to train one, but couldn't you just queue it up from the mill school? Not like sort of the plan here? I mean, you don't want to train one here because you're so close to Castle Age. I'm actually surprised that the players are feeling gutsy enough to go for a castle at this stage. Feels a little gutsy to me, because if you just... one little mistake here, and feels like you could lose so much.
I think for both of these players, they feel like they won't die if they go up while the other one doesn't and keep making units. So with Numudan in his position, he's got a lot of Sipahis here. He sees the horse mass. He's like, okay, I could deal with this. He's got the archers, so he knows I could possibly survive if I do get attacked. But at the same time, Anotand feels that way too. So I think both of these guys with the same thing in mind, they are now aging up at the same time. So not going to be a massive surprise, and I think both of them will be very thankful to see that castle age going up, because it means, hey, I'm not going to get pressured to death right now. I do have a little bit of time to let this economy do the talking. And for Anotand, this is to let the prelates go on the map and capture some of those relics. Now, the army from Numudan is mobile, but Anotand, he's got the army to escort those prelates to the right positions themselves.
Yeah, he's got the imams. Numudan himself also has imams, so he's actually going to get a little chance here to snag two of the relics, but maybe not feeling confident enough to be on the map while aging up. Not realizing that the timings were identical. I mean, how would you? You don't know until you know, you know?
Mm-hmm. So for this few
it looks
seconds...
like knights?
Doesn't know. But yeah, knights, ooh. That could be a pretty heavy move to make, because all that gold in the bank is definitely worth investing.
Yeah, we saw 3 stables now for Anotand, and you also have the mineworks, so the knights can get that extra armor as well. So you can have lots of options here, upgrading, of course, the spearmen and the horsemen as Anotand. And knights are the answer. I love me some Regnitz knights. You know, you just have so much gold float. Feels good. Mm-hmm. Feels good. You know?
Usually a Regnus knight is accompanied by a chapel with farms around, Winston, and I don't think Anotand is heading that way anytime soon. We can also see he's not even thinking about wood for a while now, but he's getting those very unique upgrades, so it is going to make it a little bit harder for Numudan to handle, and Numudan does not have the units to deal with this. He's getting more Sipahis, he's getting that free Mangonel, but an answer to knights? I just don't think there's something in his arsenal for this right now. He does pick off this imam pretty big.
That's a big deal, especially because those are the free imams, so you have to build the mosque and everything as Ottomans and get everything up and running again. Oh, this is dicey. And MIA into just knights doesn't feel great. Like the Mangonel, like sure it does a little bit of damage, but it's not going to be like the biggest thing. We already see the barding armor tech coming in from the mineworks, so these knights are going to be chunky. Look at that, 5 in queue. This is a lot of lads.
A lot of lads, and there can be a lot more coming as well, as we can see more
Yeah,
in queue
7.
with Winston. This feels like a repeat. He saw how well those cataphracts worked, and he says, I will do it again. More knights, knights.com. We are getting all of them. And Numudan now just making more Sipahi. Now, how will Sipahi handle this in a straight 1-to-1 fight?
Against the knights? Terrible.
Yeah, I'm feeling that way too. Maybe he just doesn't want them to take him head on. Maybe he wants to run around instead. But for an Ottoman
they
with
frontline.
Sipahi, yeah.
They frontline for
Especially
the
with-
Jans just for a little bit, I guess.
Just need a lot more
Right?
time to get the Jans going. Because when you're playing against Ottomans, you always feel like, okay, they're great against cavalry. I'm going to struggle when they get Janissaries out. And maybe Numudan is just waiting for that. He's trying to get as many out as he can before the fight happens.
Anotand could sneak an Imperial, and I think Numudan would be shocked. Like I could literally see an Imperial Age, because one thing, when you don't do Aachen, that like kind of the earlier you get the Swabia, the earlier you sort of fix, in air quotes, the error of your ways, right? The mine work is sort of like this investment in aggression and map control and all these things, right? And it gives you superior units, but your economy suffers so much, like you said, you don't have that Aachen boom behind it, and these shorefish patches on all these docks are going to start running out soon, so you kind of want to use the timing sooner rather than later to sneak in that Swabia, so that's going to be a big thing to look for. Does Anotand try and sneak into Swabia? And if he does, is it going to be one of those situations where Numudan just has to go? Or we're going to see a more classical Numudan style where, okay, you're Swabia, I'll just go in too, right? We'll have to see. Could be really scary, though. Oh,
does
finally,
fo-
Metters. Metters. They matter. Metters
Yeah.
matter, people. Metters matter.
I feel like Anotand had the choice to go Imperial already so many times, and he's also just not sure about whether it's the move to make. And as I say that, he's starting to ramp up more and more and more gold. Because I was going to say, he was running quite low on the gold, spending every little bit he could on getting a few extra prelates out, possibly to move forward as well and inspire those warriors themselves. And then we know those fights just go so much better. Now, Anotand actually using that mobility to shut down this food income. And like you said, these docks are limited edition. Fish runs out, but once they do,
Also,
thanks.
the Spahi just do not win that fight straight up alone. They need the support of their ranged units here, whereas those knights will just clap Spahi so fast. So while the numbers look very good for Numudan on paper, it really is going to require Anotand running the knights into a front line while the Jans are shooting from behind. Like, 10 of these are vet archers, which are going to have very minimal impact in the moments to come. There's 2 crossbows on the field, a couple siege pieces, which, what are they really achieving here against all these knights? Tricky stuff here for Numudan, I think, going forward. He has the mass, but does he have the quality? I mean, maybe. That's a lot of Jans. Maybe I stay corrected. That's a lot of Janissaries. I'm just seeing it, you know?
When we had the conversation the first time, he was on 4 Janissaries, and now on 23, this is a much different conversation. Yes, there's going to be a 1 or 2 pick.
22.
Here, and he'll get back there, Winston, don't worry. This man knows what his backline is going to need to look like. But Anotand knows this. He knows, he cannot just take this on. And he pulls back a little bit, just ensuring that he splits off this army. This push now, though, from Numudan, this is going to be quite tricky to stop. And it doesn't look like
His
those
base,
5
though.
villages. In his base.
Anotand has units in his own base to defend, but now Numudan's base, he's going to have to go for the YOLO conversion to try and hold. Does Anotand react correctly? Yes, of course he does. It's Anotand. And what's scary here is if Numudan stays in the center of the field here, in the center of the map, Numudan, if he stays here, at any point, it feels like Anotand could just come for a surround. He's got armies on both sides, and they're scary armies. That's a lot of knights.
He's also remade that choice, the one I talked about with, I can go Imperial. He's made the choice yet again to stay in
12
castle,
in queue.
12 knight. Exactly. This man,
12.
he's made the choice again and again. He realizes, I'm ahead. I just need to get a good fight now. When you're up against Ottomans, you don't want to fight them in Imperial. You don't want to give Numudan a moment where he can be like, I will follow into Imperial. This is not what you want to face when you're playing against Ottomans, but What Anotand wants is he wants to keep Numudan making units. He wants to keep him in castle, and he wants to take this army at an unfavorable point. Another Sipahi fight coming on in, but the knights are chunky. They're doing work.
Oh.
And he's raiding. Winston, he's raiding.
The raids, the raids, the raids. How many times can I say that before it's annoying?
We'll find
Probably
out.
that was it. 14 knights in queue. Just build more stables, maybe. It's starting to like stress me out seeing the number that high. But I mean, it must feel good to play with. Numudan though, resource bank looking comfortable. Population still at 150, so he can't be that sad about the situation. Maybe even looking up to an imp soon.
Now, honestly, he's starting to take a little bit of damage here on the sides.
Whoa.
Anotand,
Whoa.
that is. But this
Whoa.
could be a very dangerous fight. That's a lot of Janissaries, though. And
Whoa.
there is Sipahi to frontline just a little bit. Looks like the Mangonel. and
No,
the Spinels
that's
will
not
find
enough.
the knights.
I can tell you that is not enough Janissaries.
And they are melting
Oh,
the
it is so
horses,
hard
but
to get cleaned up.
they are destroying them. The Janissary mass now
Bye-bye.
going down. But the backup has arrived just a little bit too late. Mangonel now.
The backup runs away. And the backup's like, hell no, get me out of here. Yeah, that's a lot of knights. 41 on the field. And we talked about that Janissary mass sort of being Numudan's protection here. And now Anotand is going to have full control over the map to do sort of whatever he wants. Am I lagging? Or is the stream?
I think it might be Yusa, but it looks
no.
like this is going to be another relic going back to Anotand as he lost it a little bit earlier. Numudan was not able to snatch that back, and now Numudan needs to sit back there with a dwindling population, but a lot of resources in the bank. So he could try and make this an imp situation, but he should know this is going to be too risky. I lost a major part of my army, and Anotand's still thinking like, hey, I've got 2 knights in queue. Do I go for imp now, or do I just keep making knights? And we'll see. It looks like he's veering towards going Imperial.
Yeah, upgrade the knights. You got 50 on the field. You want to get those bad boys elite. And we'll see that coming in pretty soon. Macro's a little off, but I mean, it's not too bad. And Numudan not going to be too far behind. I love seeing that army. Look at that. Ain't that a thing of beauty?
Now, the difference is, usually when your opponent, when you go Imperial, you feel like, hey, I will survive the next 5 minutes. But Anotand, he's got the army to kill Numudan, even if he goes for Imperial himself. Palace of Swabia being clicked initially, mind may have changed, as we now see he's getting more and more food in the bank. Alsbach Palace is the weapon of choice. In the middle of the map, he's going to ensure that he pushes this thing out.
Yeah, also just sort of controlling the essential wood lines, just controlling some of the minerals in the middle, and also notably controlling the sacred site, right? Which could become a win condition later on if Numudan does somehow create a really sticky defense with this Imperial Age, which, can I be real, I don't see it happening. I think Elite Knights in just a move, and I think Numudan dies. But we'll see. I mean, Numudan, he might have a trick up his sleeve.
Yeah, Anotand
Right?
now with 52 knights, he has enough gold to ensure he gets his singular upgrade he needs, get into elite. But Numudan already queuing up exactly what he believes is going to keep him alive. And we'll see if that's going to be the case, because now Anotand 13 on that landmark. It's not going to be too far off. Numudan knows I need to live now because the attack might be imminent.
Janissaries do get like a pretty nice boost early Imperial. They can get some of those techs really early, the trench gun tech, right? Like you kind of a lot of good stuff early on. Great bombards kind of hit the field, but I don't really see what the Great Bombard counters in this context. And now there's just this annoying tower just shooting at this gold mine. Oh, that is cheeky. Well, there's another one behind it.
That thing being reinforced just means that Numudan is engaged for a few more seconds, and Anotand has the ability to get that elite upgrade before he takes any damage. 5 bonds also in queue there, but he is going to have the army to do something about this now. He's going to have more than 60 knights, and honestly, I don't know what stops 60 HRE knights.
Yeah, like,
there's
and it's not
anything.
just it's not Aachen Chapel, right? It's the mine work. They have the barding. They have that extra armor. The +2/+2 is so huge against so many different units. That's a lot of lads. Can I just say that one more time? That's a lot of lads.
That's another one.
That's a lot of lads.
And
I'm gonna say it again. Did we wait for
lads are gonna be
biology?
looking for damage. Oh, that's okay.
I think we're waiting for biology. Right? It's a lead knight coming in. I mean, he hasn't clicked it yet. I'm wondering, like, are we just waiting for a university in biology? Ooh, nice little raid. Numudan's pop is sad right now. 137.
Yes.
It hasn't recovered since that loss. Like, the Jan mass really hasn't gone up. Oh no. I'm starting to get nervous for Numudan.
Feels like Anotand doesn't realize how far ahead he is right now. He doesn't realize how scary his army is going to be against Numudan's. So possibly he's just being careful about this because he knows that Numudan is a defensive guy and he doesn't just die to anything. Now, Numudan, though, he's getting more and more Janissaries and they're going to be great, but 1-to-1, these knights are still going to be pretty awesome to have with you. These guys now, they're just standing still. And this might just be showing us
resting.
Anotand needs to be safe. We want
It's a
to be
rest
safe.
day. They just did leg day. It's a rest day. And Anotand knows.
He's resting his heart out here. Anotand making more knights, though.
So
Oh
wholesome.
my goodness. Honestly, Winston, I don't know when the knights stop. Is it just going to be a full pop of knights and now culverins? Because that could be a little bit hard to handle, even for the Civ with the great bombards, the greatest in all of the land.
I'm a little nervous. Like, he still just hasn't clicked biology. Like, I feel like it's such... Maybe I'm obsessing a little bit over it here when I shouldn't be. Like, Anotand knows better than me. I think. Like, definitely, right? But why not prioritize getting this in queue right now? Because it feels like it would just be such a big win condition. And we're sort of letting Numudan build up here, too. Anotand does have the Sacred Site timer on his side, so maybe he's just thinking, I don't want to have to dive into that defensive structure, right? So, like, Knights, obviously, really good in those open fields. We saw that fight in the center earlier being so decisive. Maybe he's just like, Numudan, I have the Sacred Sites. You have to come out and fight me on my terms, right? And rather than try and get in the choke point where the Janissaries are going to do really well, he's saying, okay, fight me in the open field. It's an open invite. The Duel of Kings. Anotand posturing in front of the Sacred Site. Now biology in queue, so maybe that will be the go signal.
The thing is, there's no go signal needed here, Winston. If you look at that timer, it's 5 minutes 50. This is going to be something Numudan has to do something about. But again, Anotand has the advantage of controlling the army of Numudan. Numudan just has to follow where those horses go. And with the amount of horses he has, he could very easily split those apart and try to do more damage in the base. That base completely being reinforced by farms and villagers.
And this army, you can see they're all huddled up. They're like, make a tight little circle, and maybe the knights won't see us, right? If we're all really close together, they're huddling for warmth. Even though it looks like a summer day here in Frisian marshes. Must be a lot of mosquitoes in a marsh.
Mm-hmm.
You ever think of
with
that?
all those little lakes. Oof. Winston, I grew
Yeah,
up
it probably
in
sucks. Like, that sucks
We-
right now.
We have lakes everywhere. Mosquitoes are our national animal. These poor guys, those Bahis, they've lived through hell, let me tell you. Those guys, I've seen all their Janissaries go down. They've watched another population of Janissaries come on up. But now, less than 5 minutes on the timer, and this feels pretty tough.
Is this EGC Summer or EGC Fall tournament, or is this like part of Outback Octagon? Like, how many knights are on the field right now? This looks like a free-for-all army. 85 fully upgraded elite knights with minework upgrades as well. The Spahi, are there enough to frontline? And we even seen the deletion of the Springalds, and I think that's a genius move. Like, they are achieving nothing for your population right now. Another Bombard I don't fully love. I kind of feel like a Randy here would be part of it, right? A couple Rebalds are like kind of part of the answer. But maybe not. The Jans are pushing up, the Culverins taking their shots onto the Great Bombards. The Great Bombards, ooh, he had a little weird retreat there. And just slight raid, the peel off from Anotand. He has so many knights, he can afford to have a few in the base of Numudan behind this. Just
And I
keep
love to
getting...
see he's actually doing this, because he was a little bit passive about this. He was just standing here at the front,
3
trying
minutes.
to keep this going. And he got the great bombard too. This is a massive pickup. He's got the villagers there to protect him, but with these culverins, he's able to snipe off one of those. And like you said, 3 minutes. You need both of them to actually keep this going, but the villagers in the base are going down. And now down to 91 food. He's not replacing anything, Winston.
There's so
This
many.
man is cooked.
I think Anotand, please Anotand, just fight. Fight. Give it to us before you win with Sacred Sites, because it's clear Numudan isn't going to be able to do this anymore. He's just letting these raids take him out because he knows the only way I win is by taking out these Sacred Sites. All focus has to go into the middle. The players, it looks like a clash is coming out. The Janissaries moving forward. The Spahi trying to front line for them, but they will absolutely melt in a single charge here to all of these knights. And could we see the turn now? Anotand is just toying with the prey here. This is playing with food.
Turn. And Anotand is turning his face straight into victory. He doesn't need to take any fights. The Great Bombard is desperately clawing away at the keep. The Janissaries finally connecting. And the Culverins, they just have one target, but horses are melting. The Janissaries, they are next. And that is moreknights.com, 11 more in queue. When the handful of these go down, more will be there to replace, and they are destroying everything. Numudan going out with a bang. Anotand giving us what we have been waiting for, and what we all deserve: destruction.
Yeah, the fight just wasn't there for Numudan. The Spahi frontline, it's just not reliable enough against those armored cavalry from Anotand, and yeah, lacking sort of that full gold combination right here. In an ideal case, you're able to sort of like trade as Ottomans in this state of the game and get Lancers and Janissaries together, and that's sort of your dream comp, if you will, against maybe what Anotand was fielding. But having Spy in the front line there, it's just not going to be enough, and Anotand makes that a very convincing 2-0 at this stage.
Oh, Anotand looking really strong, but Numudan, he's the kind of player that he doesn't mind being 2 down. He can still find his way to the top. So I'm not counting Mr. Numudan out here. We've seen some pretty miraculous plays from this man. But Anotand, he was the favorite going into this game. We have to keep that in mind. I believe, I can't remember what the head-to-head is. I actually have it here in front of me. There we go. Series count, they are 9-1, which tells you Anotand has been favored for a very, very long time. So definitely not a bad showing. Numudan hasn't looked like someone who is 9-1 against this opponent. However, guys, we have Coastal Cliffs coming up soon, and that is going to be a Delhi versus Ayubid, which honestly, I'm so excited for.
Yeah, Coastal Cliffs, it can be really spicy. I'm actually really curious to see how they play that. This fight was so critical. I think Numudan maybe overestimated his position a little bit. Maybe underestimated the power of these knights. Got cut out a little bit too long in the center there, and that was just so crazy. And that wasn't what's crazy about that fight to me is, sure, that wasn't all of Numudan's army, but that was only like half of Anotand's forces in that first fight. And then we have the big engagement coming up here where, like, it's just such a thunderous sound when you see that many knights. That's what I was asking. Is this Outback Octagon or something? Are we in the wrong tournament, Landon? Did we just show up? Is this the wrong game? Like that is a free for all army if I've ever seen one, right?
For some reason, the name Puppy Paw just pops into my head whenever I think of a lot of knights. I can't remember what Puppy Paw did to get a piece of his name stuck in my brain for the rest of my life whenever I see this amount of knights. But I feel like it could have been traumatic for any player that played against him there. And we see here on the screen that final fight looking like there were no Janissaries in this army. Those poor Janissaries were not doing anything against these horses. In those big numbers, the feet or the legs matter. I always say, you just count the legs and then you know who's winning. And there were a lot more legs on Anotand's side.
Yeah, a lot of legs. A lot of legs indeed, yeah. And yeah, it's Jane's. They feel awkward sometimes in that late game composition, right? Especially when you're looking at them at that stage. It could just feel a little weird, but I'm not sure what else Numudan should have done. I mean, I think Spearman maybe could have been more useful than the Spy at a frontline. It's kind of hard to know, though, because at those numbers, the Knights just sort of will roll most things. You just sort of need to meet power with power in that context, which is why I like the Knight and Gen combo, but it is so expensive to both tech into and to sustain. So it's just a very expensive thing. It's more of like a team game comp that Ottomans can do. It's very hard for them to achieve that in a 1v1, which is why it's impressive that Anotand was able to get that many Knights on the field in the first place. But that aside, we can take a look here. Next game, Coastal Cliffs. Thoughts? Ayubids?
Well, Coastal Cliffs with Ayubids and Delhi, I feel like it's a map that still sees usually a lot of pro scouting, but neither of these civs are very renowned for that type of playstyle. Ayubids, I feel like they might be quite difficult to handle for Delhi here. Now, they do have Ghazi Raiders, which is great because those boys, they are fun, they're fast, they're fantastic, they go back, they heal up, they do more. But at the same time, Ayubids has so many cards that they can play. And it used to be one of those cases where you could instantly tell, like, hey, this civilization beats that one. But with Ayubids, we've seen some of these pro players be so creative. I cannot predict this, Winston. And it might just be because I don't play enough. But I do play a lot recently. But Ayubids, I don't know where to place them because every single time I watch a pro game, there's something else coming out. A different order of wing. Sometimes it's the chicken wing. Sometimes it's the casino wing. We're just getting all the types of wings. And honestly, I'm an enjoyer. But I do want to touch on just for a second for the rest of this series. Numudan still has some pretty good answers for the maps that we do have in front of us. Although Anotand,
Oh, yeah.
it's got Zushi and Rus.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good too. So what about you? Ayubids and Delhi, where do you land?
Was it? I'm really. This is recall here, and I could be wrong. Was it Anotand versus Louis, where Anotand did Gamba Wing in Copenhagen at the Steel Series?
That might be.
Was that? Was that it? And I just distinctly remember Louis' face when the third hack of units came out, and Anotand basically hit the Gamba 3 times in a row for the fully aggressive thing. I don't think it worked out for Anotand, but I think that just speaks to the creativity he is willing to bring to Ayubids. And I think we saw Anotand playing very successfully with Ayubids. A lot of players were on a lot of different maps. You can play a ton of different styles. They can play really aggressive. They can deal with aggressive civs really well. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Numudan, though, I'm curious to see how he handles Delhi, right? Because these past 2 games, it seemed like he was a little bit on the tempo back foot in terms of strategic ordering. And I'm wondering if that's going to work out, because I feel like Delhi, a lot of times when I play them at least, I feel like I need to be kind of in the driver's seat as the game commences. And so we'll see if he's able to maybe shift gears here and change the tune in his head. If you want to demonstrate that again, feel free. That's an open invite.
I have to wait for the right moment, Winston. We can't do this on demand. But
it felt right to me,
Anotand,
okay? Sorry.
Now, Numudan, you just mentioned he needs to be in the driving seat, and I completely agree. I think Delhi is a civ that thrives when they decide the tempo of the game. Based on what Anotand does, we'll find out if he's going to allow anyone to take the tempo. But again, it's Delhi. They don't need to ask for permission. They do a pretty good job at getting it at the start of the game. But with the usual Desert Raiders, you don't have those one-to-one trades as we're used to seeing them. Now, especially when we see the Culture Wing A-drop, that we sometimes get a nice little dervish to heal those bad boys up. And I think in a matchup like Delhi, that could also be quite interesting, as you already have camels where your opponent doesn't, and those fights could be a little different. But then again, you just specialize in archers. So both of these civilizations just have rock, paper, scissor 6 times over for one another.
Yeah, it sort of just kind of loops back around at a certain point to just, it comes down to play, I feel like, a lot of the times, and just reactivity rather than, like, is my strategy good enough here? It's usually, at least for me in this matchup, it would be more of like, am I responding better to the game state? Which is why I love AoE4. But also, yeah, it's cool here. Let's see. Spicy stuff. Spicy stuff.
Well, that is a
I don't know why I said
very
that,
empty
but I did.
scout. It's because of the chicken wing thing, Winston. That was on me. Don't worry. You can always just blame me. It's all good.
No. Oh, that is a sheep disparity and a half.
This is not what you can blame on me, though. I think this one might be on Anotand himself. He is a hungry boy right now, and he went for the eco wing. So chicken wing was the choice. Winston, you called it by saying spicy the whole time. He goes for the eco wing, just ensuring that he has the resource or the villagers to get resources just that little bit faster. Now, going for the eco wing here, it helps your economy, obviously, because you're in a state now where you are very, very happy to just stay in feudal a little bit longer and make sure that those 3 extra villages you get to make a difference in the army value. But the problem is, Numudan is going to have a lot of army very quickly, and those 3 villages, they do take a while to pay off because you're giving up the other types of control you would have had.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of help elsewhere. There's a little bit of berry boost. You know, getting a little more berries out of your map is always nice. Let's see. Can we check the berries? Pro players are generally very, very good at this, but it's easy to slip up on the berries and accidentally not leave one at one. We'll see. Oh yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's definitely paying attention. And Anotand's builds are very, very good. It's just always it's good to know. You know, it's good to double check because it's easy to forget sometimes in a big series. You're switching through your saves really quickly, and it can be a mistake, and sometimes that's 100, 200, 300 food that makes a big difference later in the game.
Mm-hmm. Especially with that little bit of a sheep difference between the two. Wheelbarrow now clicked up by Anotand as well. So him getting Wheelbarrow this early on tells me he is playing an eco game here. I wonder how heavy the feudal fighting is going to be. Is investing a little bit of gold this early on into Wheelbarrow. Of course, you want to make sure your villagers can get away from those Ghazis. But it does feel like, hey, I'm okay with staying here, and I'm going to fight this for as long as possible. We'll see where those villagers pop out to. 6, 5, 4 seconds until those extra vills are going to be popping out. And we'll see where they go. And it seems they go directly to the berries.
Straight to jail. No, yeah, straight to the berries. Makes sense. We're going to see a stable opening here from the EU bids. Not a huge surprise. That's stable and stable.
Stable.
Ooh,
stable decisions all around.
It's just, yeah, Horseman Desert Raider kind of combo is what we're maybe feeling here. That can feel nice. That can feel good.
Yes. I mean, Anotand is coming to scout. He wants to know, hey, what are you opening with? Most of us, when we play against Delhi, we know what's coming first. It's going to be a Ghazi Raider. But this is Numudan. Anotand doesn't know that yet. And he knows that he doesn't know, so that's why he's here to find out exactly what he's going to be facing. But that's a stable. That's a stable. Never mind, guys. We're back to Ghazi Raiders. No surprises here. But Anotand investing in Horseman himself as well.
I feel like the Dome of Faith generally kind of locks you into the Ghazi because it feels like lost value going for archers and spearmen when you don't have Tower Victory for the infantry buff. So I feel like the moment I go Dome of Faith, I know I'm playing Ghazi for most of Feudal Age, right? Until you're like forced to switch.
Now, getting the blacksmith pretty early on means he is going to have that extra bit of time he needs to get the upgrades. Anotand, though, getting horticulture as well. And that's the nice thing. Guys, we just need to talk about this for a second as that scout is in dire danger. The Delhi variant coming. Are we excited about those upgrades? Because I was going through the details, and after we were at Gamescom, 5 seconds per upgrade. That means they don't get them for free like the real Delhi, but fake Delhi, they will be getting them real fast. So I'm really excited about that. Any expansion hypers?
Is this when I can say no comment?
Yes.
Okay. I'm really excited.
I feel like that is saying like, oh, it might not be 5 seconds forever, so we'll find out. But I'm not going to put Winston in a weird position now.
It's like pleading the fifth. You can't just look at a no comment and then assume something. The whole point is that there is no assumption to be made.
Well, with 5 horses in Numudan's base, he is going to be making the assumption that he needs more Ghazis. Guys, we're going to need more Ghazis against all those bad boys, but more horses in the party zone, and one single camel debuff all of the horses coming from Numudan's side. So now the archery range also being placed down. That is going to be used when he does see that singular Desert Raider, but I feel like when you see one Desert Raider, it feels kind of wrong to invest too much into archers.
Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking about Tuglux again. Back to this game though. Yeah, we got Numudan. Are you surprised at all by the choice to make archers from Numudan here? I mean, it's nice to have a infantry unit to wall sacred sites, but I guess it's for, like, what? Do.
So I understand the choice of archers because, like you said, they can build walls, which is great. We love a good wall around a sacred site. You guys know, Delhi and walls, very, very nice. So this is something he needs, but he also needs to prepare for when there's an inevitable, what is it, the camel, desert raider, there's the word. I found it, Winston. You took one of my words. But he's getting his archers himself. So now that Anotand is investing... Oh, he cancelled those bad boys and made more horses instead. Never mind, Anotand knows. I just need morehorses.com. Knights worked out. I can't make knights yet, so let me just get their baby brother and try to shut down anyone who dares touch these sacred sites. But keep in mind, Numudan has the option to go and heal up those Ghazis. So Anotand is not going to be taking unnecessary fights here.
Yep. That's why there haven't been any of those typical skirmishes that you might see. Oh, we see little bits of poke trying to come in. Anotand, though, trying not to take damage himself until we get a full engagement of the fight. The Desert Raider is there. It will be debuffing all of those Ghazi's Raiders, so they're doing a lot less damage. Units here from Anotand. He has the melee armor upgrade as well, so the Ghazi are going to be doing very little here, actually. And is it going to even be enough? No, Numudan has to retreat from this. One of the scholars gets caught out. Ghazi... He did manage to kill the Desert Raider, so his units are dealing slightly better with this. Ooh, this is spicy.
Yeah, losing any more of those scholars is going to be so difficult to come back from. But Anotand, he took a really good trade. We can see here destroyed value on his side. He is feeling good about this. He shut down the sacred side. He shut down that momentum that we usually see here from Delhi. And now you're not giving Delhi the full control. You are the person who can sit back. You can even go on the deer, because you know that there's no Ghazis who will dare come close to your base and raid you without taking a pretty severe risk.
And now we see the scholars coming forward again, right? Numudan's just like, all right, I'll try again. It always feels bad in this context because a lot of the reason Delhi sort of works is when you are able to get at least one sacred site, so that you can just pull vills off gold, invest more in the army, and it sort of like has a snowballing effect. But because there hasn't been a sacred site for very long, we're not getting any banked gold for Castle Age. We're not really producing scholars a ton right now, just 5 on the field, not more in queue. So if a Castle Age is eked out, it will be without a ton of scholar buildup. And just kudos to Anotand at this point for keeping things super clean on his side. And now we see a bit of an archer master from him to help deal with some of these spearmen that Numudan's building up.
Because that's a pretty big investment into spearmen from Numudan, but he knows he needs this if he's going to be fighting against all of those horses. I think the big question is, who runs out of food first? Because that usually determines how the fights will go. But oh no, the Ghazi Raiders are taking the fight. Desert Raiders just ensuring they melt and don't do much damage. Spearmen now looking to say something about this. But the archers are standing forward, ready to take a few shots here. Spearmen again at the ready, and they do a significant amount of damage here. This round kind of coming out here.
The spearmen?
It looks pretty scary.
Yeah, the spearmen didn't get a great engagement, though. They were always behind the horsemen, and I think only one spearman ever even hit in that engagement, and now they're almost all dead on the field. Just a few remain, and now they're going to the back of the formation as the retreat comes out. Oh, this is such awkward micro here for Numudan. He has to execute perfectly to not go down to Anotand's superior forces. Numudan able to hold? Question mark? It doesn't look like it.
Numudan keeps trying to put this pressure up, but we can see with the army value, it looks like Numudan is ahead, but we can see these fights are telling a very different story. And now with the amount of archers on Anotand's side, those archers from Numudan are going to fall just as quickly. You start to get to this number where you can actually deal with the horses pretty well. And yes, he has +1 range defense there on Numudan's side, so he is going to take the shots a little bit better than usual. But now we can see that army being healed up, and possibly this is where the value comes on in. But again, the food is going to be the question here. We do see a lot of villagers out here on the map on different food sources, and 2 little green dots there going to the north, trying to find a little bit of info.
Yeah, Anotand with a great read here saying, well, how are you getting food right now? And he's going to catch these villagers as they're building the tower. That might be full kills here. Oh no, I think we have X-Tiles in. Oh, bit of a counter raid. No Vil kills just yet on either side. One will go down, but that's not the biggest deal at this stage. It matters, of course, that the food is denied. And now Anotand has another part of the map, though, where he has to deal with it, right? Because so far he's been sort of able to control this one sacred site on the south. The moment he swings up here, that kind of opens up the sacred site on the south again, because his army is going to be over here. So things are just going to get a lot messier here, and the armies are going to collide in the center of the map. The archers a little far away, but they're going to be able to start picking off those spearmen. The archers dealing their damage. Full retreat here. No more camels in the fight for Anotand, so the Ghazi are at full power.
And it does look like these Ghazis are trading pretty well here with the Spearmen in the mix. The Archers are doing their best. Oh, the Scholars trying to heal up what they can. But the fight's looking pretty good here for Numudan. He's cleaning up what he can. The Spearmen did the work they needed to do, but there's a lot more Horsemen as reinforcements coming on in. But we can see those numbers are staying pretty equal, I said, as Anotand is starting to lose grip on this. And those villagers are running out of deer to keep on snacking here at the front. So this is going to mean that Anotand needs to find alternative food as well. He's got a little bit of wood in the bank, and that should probably be a farm or two, but there's still a deer pack. That deer pack, though, is very risky.
Yeah, there's... Ooh, and all of the vills go idle on the food at kind of the worst time, but we'll see how Anotand's able to recover from this. Just moving out to the berries with a lot of vills. And this game is going to heat up. The Battle of the Berry Boys.
Battle of the Berry Boys, and you can imagine that poor boar is going to be untouched for the rest of his life. But another fight, and the Ghazi Raiders get a few cheap shots on a horse there. Two of them hitting the floor. Disgusting, as we just see more horse all around the map. Now Anotand, though, he's making every bit of horse he can, and he's going to keep on horsing around. He cannot stop now, because he knows that once Delhi decides to go for it, they can do a pretty mean push here. The wood line getting a little bit thin away from the TC, which means they're going to be a little bit open for a raid or two. Oh, the berries, Winston. The berries.
The Berry Boys. All the lads in this outpost might be hearing the Ayubid scream soon. Those villagers going to be taken out. Oh, awkward pathing from the Ghazi. Oh, are most of them going to live? Just one goes down, another will. The outpost, though, taking out. The food supply is denied once again, but Anotand has found the food on the north side now. He has the reinforcements in his own base. The spearmen count dwindling quickly. The Ghazi get the surround, but now there is a camel in this fight. It is now taken out, so the Ghazi are once again full power, and the Ghazi get the full surround on the north side too. Oh boy! Looks like it's good news for Numudan.
Yes, Numudan actually getting a perfect surround here with all those Ghazis on the archers. Anotand realizes that was not it for me. And ladies and gents, we have an answer. Delhi versus Ayubids. Well, with the Eco Wing, it looked a little bit tough, but I don't feel like it was the wing's fault. This felt like just pure decision-making here by Numudan, just ensuring that he gets the right trades at the right times. But yeah, I don't really know where to place the matchup just based off of this game.
I think if Anotand had made a few more Desert Raiders, maybe actually, because it seemed like in a lot of those fights, there was a really good job by Numudan to focus him down with his small archer mass, but it felt like if Anotand just had a few more, like the Ghazi stay debuffed and you deal a ton of damage in melee against those Ghazi Raiders. So maybe they were kind of like the secret weapon that was missing. Not quite sure. And also, like the food macro, like you mentioned, Anotand maybe had some slip-ups on the macro there. When all those vills go idle together, it sort of like speaks, I think, to like a very preoccupied mind. And here we see some replays of these really close fights. This looked like a great fight on the outset to me for Anotand, but a few units did get away, and most of the Scholars escaped. I think only one died here. It went from 4 to 3, I believe, in the field. Yeah, one goes down here. But the other 3 get away, and you can see several of the Ghazi do get out, and they're full healed, and those little moments of healing matter so much.
And aside from that, Winston, I want you to take a look over there to the left. We have an upcoming series, and that's going to be Zushi against Japan, which, I mean, Japan's a pretty cool pick here, but Zushi, undeniable. honestly. Kerlager is a map that I think both of these civilizations do pretty well on, but we've seen Anotand on Zushi as well. He knows what he's doing. And Numudan wielding that Japan, I'm feeling something spicy. Not just something standard. Oh, but looking at this fight too, you just see how those archers tried to focus fire the spears, and they did a pretty decent job. But the scholars, they kept the Ghazis alive as much as they could, and the numbers just mattered.
Yeah, there's no camel here, right? And keeping the fight continuing while you don't have the debuff, it's like missing sort of your counter to the healing almost, right? It's like the healing gives you a certain amount of damage and durability in the fights, but because you have more durability, you get more damage out, right? But then you kind of, your advantage as a Ubids is sort of lost there, and he had it here as well, right? But immediately you can see great focus from Numudan, spots the two camels, and boom, they're both dead. Now the Ghazi are no longer debuffed. And I mean, at this point, the fight was already kind of decided, but it's those little decisions, seeing Numudan on point in that micro, really impressive stuff. And it was kind of interesting. Numudan in this game only ever built one blacksmith, so his upgrades aren't even done yet, right? And I think that kind of thing is an important thing to note, because you usually see Delhi build the two blacksmiths, right, to be able to get churn through all their upgrades, but Numudan only had the one and still managed to be winning convincing fights there. Do you think we see Shinobi?
Yes,
Dare I say?
because I think the last game kind of gave us a new side of Numudan as well. We know Numudan is a guy who likes to delay the game, get to late game, make his opponents sweat a little bit. But in this case, he was aggressive, and he wanted the game to end pretty quickly. He knew how to be aggressive, and I think I will not be surprised when he goes for something a little bit more spicy than the usual. What's funny to me is that neither of these players have picked Holy Island, which means I feel like Holy Island is a map you pick if you are Vortex or Lucifron and you're born on the water. But both of these players knew, hey, we could potentially get this map, and here the other guy might not be that confident, but they leave it for last. So to let the skills decide, because I know most of the top players, they're not too confident on the water maps. You might have your top 4, top 6 who would gladly pick these, which is why I'm quite surprised that Anotand did not go for it. But Numudan, he's Swedish. Maybe he was born next to water as well. Who knows? Lager it is.
Do you think Lager has a lot of mosquitoes? Or is it just marshes? Is that the mosquito one? Which I thought here.
Marshes might be more mosquito-y. Lager feels like we're in a little bit of a colder climate. I know we see a lot of green, and guys, I'm not just talking about Numudan, I'm also talking about the grass. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful. We got some tree chopping. Ladies and gents, this is going to be a blacksmith in Dark Age. Are you ready?
Wow, some crazy stuff happening. Things are occurring. Gameplay is happening. Sorry. I don't know. It sounded right.
Yeah.
It felt right to say that in the moment. In the moment, that felt right. But now, looking back with hindsight, retrospective, maybe that wasn't the coolest thing to say right then. What would have been cooler? I tried. Yeah, thanks, Cal. All right, even when Cal gets involved, then you know it was bad. Oh, boy.
Oh, poor guy. Guys, Winston just getting called out here, left, right, and center. But those deer getting killed right around the DC. Okay, yes, we see that usually. But it is quite spicy because now you're not going to be able to push those bad boys. And yes, they are harder to push. But shutting this down is such an important move here. You give up a little bit of sheep, but at the same time, you ensure that your opponent doesn't get to be greedy.
And now, where is Numudan's dock? Is that on the right? It's on the right there.
I called it barracks. I'm sorry, guys. I guess I was wrong. But yes. That is a dog.
Can I say you called a blacksmith technically, and I knew what you meant.
Oh, did I? Oh,
you said blacksmith, which is funny. Well, no, it's there. It's right there. That is the blacksmith.
Okay,
you're not wrong.
True. Ooh.
Yeah,
Make me feel like I'm a little bit right. Yes,
nice. You're very right. But yeah, no, I was also wondering if we'd see the barracks, but I don't think so. I don't think Shishi needs the instant dock, right? They can just do the deer under the DC and feel comfortable with a really fast stage up. Where are we going to see this meditation gardens, do you think? Maybe in the back? Oh, is he going forward for the triple berry? Can we check the base, please? Oh, that is a crazy meditation garden. That's a lot of berry.
That is a lot of berries. He's going to be snacking for days, Winston. He's going to get a little wood, a little gold. We love a little wood and gold with a nice little bit of food around. Hell yeah, brother. It looks like this is going to be the nicest of meditation gardens. This is where you take a girl on a date. You take her to this meditation garden. She wants to go chill there. Yeah, exactly.
I get it. No, that makes sense.
When I look at the amount of fishing ships here on the side, though, 3 fishing ships, pretty standard. But is Anotand going to be able to punish this? What is the question Anotand asks himself? Does he say, oh, do I shut down Big Doc, or do I just go for kill? Very good. I will find out. But I do not know yet. For now, I just meditate, get good food, and make big plays. Both of these scouts, we are just being annoying. But I will see. He's my villager? Yes, we go to water. We will shut down Doc, not problem. And that is it. So, for a storehouse coming on out, and that means no shinobis, Winston.
I'm sad, disappointed, and my day is ruined. I wanted shinobis, but that's okay. Maybe we'll get them eventually. You know, it's not no forever, right? Shinobis could still happen. You never know.
Mm-hmm. So
maybe
now he is a little bit spicy here. I like that about Anotand. He's just blocking that, and now the scout coming to fight back. This is going to be a pretty dirty fight. Moves the scout a little bit forward. No. You have wasted the wood on one wall. Go get the second one. Another villager being pulled to put this up. Oh, cancels it. But 2 villagers now all the way out here. They're going to need to be shoreline fishing if they want to get value from anything.
Yeah, just has to get that wall up because his age up is so much slower than Anotand. And Anotand threatening that dock to the right there, which could make a combat ship. But instead, it'll just be some fishies. Saw the walls, figured why bother right now? Just hang out, vibe. They can share the lake. There's plenty of fish in the sea, what they always say, right?
Not in this sea, Winston. This is a very limited edition sea. For those of you who don't know this map, which I'm assuming everyone does, because in Twitch chat, I know you guys are all Conk 3. I am the only problem here. These fish are limited edition, so when you do get control of these little patches of water, you only have food for a little while, but it is usually enough to destroy your opponent with. Now, with Numudan, he gets that first farm for free, just spawning up there. And now the question is, what is next? Anotand got his dock, he's living his best life, but what are we seeing in his base? Mr. Observer, whether it be vodka or Cal, give me insight into Anotand's base, please. I want to see what this man is doing. Oh, he is doing something. He's going
little
for stable.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's gonna prof scouts.
Yeah.
Sort of delayed. Nope, 3 horsemen. Instantly. Okay, interesting.
He learned what works. He counted the legs from the first game and he was like, I know what worked. Just gonna get more legs. But Numudan, he counted the legs as well. He said more legs, more wins, and he's getting horsemen himself. Now, he does have double broadaxe coming in as well, so those villagers are gonna chop real hard. But Anotand decides to change his mind on that dock.
Yeah, Numudan canceled it because I think he's realizing the horsemen are coming and he's going to need units out fast. And you don't get units if you're making too many fishing boats, especially on small economies like this. You see some horsemen from Numudan, but Anotand has already powered out 4 horsemen onto the field, and some of these resources are a little exposed. The wolf getting in the mix. It just wants a little bite, a little snack. Says, I can take a leg. Doesn't get one. Oh, a little nibble. That's a little leg right there.
Yeah, that's a little snack right there. Wolf going home and not satisfied, but he did get a little bit of action. Mostly we'll see this game until he dies by the hands of some other A-moved unit running around. But you see Anotand being a little bit more safe now. He's trying to get these walls up, ensuring that he gets control of the water. Even though, limited edition, you want to ensure you get as much as possible because they will skyrocket you into the later stages when the food does run out around your TC. Now, granted, this map does have a lot of food. Numudan, he's got a lot of horses in queue. Anotand, he's got 1 in queue, but that might just be because of resource reasons, so soon enough we might just see another full horseman army. But both of these players really seeing the value of that mobility. What I really want to see from both of them, though, is raiding, and not just being as passive as they were in the Altai game, for example, with those horses.
Really seeing Numudan. Is Doc brought to half health? Not the biggest deal right now, but that could matter, and you definitely don't want to send a villa to repair it later. So these little things could add up, and you definitely don't want to have to make a boat just to defend it. Like, you want to be as greedy as possible here, because there really isn't that much food left. Well, there's probably still a good amount of food, but it's not that much food that you want to overinvest into that. So we'll see.
As he builds the ship, nice job, Winston. You cursed it. The guys.
I cursed it immediately. I said you don't want to. I said you don't want to. But because the Doc's started at half health, you probably have to. You know? I'm just saying.
Getting the boat up
Just
there
saying.
serves more than that purpose, though, Winston. It serves the purpose of if he decides to go for that delayed pro scout, because he's floating a little bit of gold, and when you have 250 gold in the bank and you're not spending any of it, I'm assuming there are some strange intentions there, and these intentions might just be to get a delayed pro scout, to get that rest of the food so you can outlast your opponent and you don't actually need to transition. Now, Japan has that built-in transition with the free farms, so we have only seen it a handful of times coming out of Japan, but I would not be surprised here. He's already got the mobility, he's going to be fine on the water now, especially having that one ship too, so he'll be able to steer off any harassment coming his way as well. But Anotand, he's floating a little bit of food around here now, deciding what he's doing next, just getting a few spears. So I feel like he's leaving his options open, because usually you get resources with intention, but when you're floating 400, 300, 250, it feels like you're just keeping your options open.
Yeah, we're seeing a bit of stacked resources as well, so maybe Numudan's just thinking, if I can get out of this feudal age without investing in any blacksmith upgrades, then things are okay. And we do see the pro scouts from Anotand is slowly starting to work its way into those deer getting back at home, but I mean, Numudan's getting away with banking res and playing on the aggressive side of things. Yeah, looks pretty good. He's gonna Anotand's gonna have a slightly faster castle time still in the end, but
He kept his options open,
I don't know.
and he decided on castle. But see, I love that meditation garden. He's got a lot of villagers around it as well. Someone definitely went on a date there, because if you just have so many out there on the map, no pressure on the meditation garden either, it feels pretty good for anyone. Now, with Numudan slowly transitioning into archers himself, this does mean that his age up is going to be a little bit delayed too, as he's spending just an inch of that food. But we do need to see if he's ready for the Mount Lu Academy coming on out. Now, guys, what makes this so tough for anyone playing Genzushi is the usual follow-up from here is lances. And these are not lances you can just ignore. Those lances, they will dive anything. And it just feels like a lot of people kind of lose it once the lances arrive. He doesn't have the gold in the bank to pump out too many just yet. And we do see Wheelbarrow now being upgraded as we are heading into 11 minutes into the game. But now that Mount Lu Academy finishing up, let's see what the first upgrade is going to be. And with no gold in the bank, the answer is nothing, actually.
Nada, de nada, nothing. You get nothing. Oh, more officials, right? That's that's official. Is that more officials, or is that the one where the supervisors improved? I always forget the icons at Mount Lu.
It might be the supervision in this case, yes.
Yeah, that's supervision. That's what I thought.
Winston, the first lancers in queue, and just like
Let's go.
allnights.com, we know what's about to happen. Those lancers are just going to start pouring in once he has the resources for them. Another one queued up. This is feeling like Anotand is rubbing his hands together and saying, yes, we are back soon. You will see. Floating gate now coming on up. Numudan, he needs to find an answer to these boys, and he should be expecting them to come.
I mean, Mounted Samurai are a pretty good answer. You already have the cavalry bannermen on the field, and you can kind of get your own little supervision situation going on your own with the floating gate. And the raid, though, gonna be pretty devastating. Wait, the Shinto priest could go down before he places it in. Did he just die, or did he place it? Did he get it?
He
died.
Everywhere.
Wait, where's the thingy? We'll have to figure that out later.
Yes.
The spearmen
now
are there.
They are lancers, and there's things happening, and they're everywhere. He only killed one villager, though, and he did lose a little bit of those horses. But now the gold is getting denied. And yes, there's a backwards gold. So guys, this is not all lost just when that tower goes down. But the number of units is starting to get scary. We do see mounted samurai coming on out now as well. But just more archers too.
Yeah, and the mounted samurai are going to be a decent answer into the spear and lancer composition. The mounted samurai, sorry, they feel great because that one deflective armor charge makes them kind of trade okay against spearmen in low numbers when things are going well. It can sort of work out for you, but we'll see Numudan under a lot of pressure here. These raids have been very volatile and very brutal. 4 villas have gone down, but it just feels like all that tempo, all that idle time is going to really add up in the next few minutes here. We already see a big difference in population, 81 for Anotand, 74 for Numudan, and it's just going to grow, right?
Now, with the amount of units we see on the map here from Anotand and their high value, you guys, you can see army value is insanely different here. Those lances, they're barely getting tickled. Numudan trying to chase down what he can with the horsemen he has, and it's starting to feel like it just slowly falls apart. Not because he's losing too many. Yes, he's lost 4 workers, but what else has he lost? He's lost a lot of working time as those villagers are running around for their lives.
Oh,
as
not
they're
again.
Getting dived again. More
Not again. The
idle
Shinto
time.
priest. The priest. Okay, he gets there this time. That's an important thing. I thought he was going to lose another one. Oh, man. Let me see. Oh, man, these guys are just so obnoxious. It's so well placed. Idling out so much, and Numudan doesn't want to fight just yet, so he's sort of just idling this whole section of his economy just to avoid taking this brutal fight. Oh, this is kind of crazy. And Anatand's just going to go back in. He's going to say, oh, I liked it here.
No, I will get more
This is
idle
nice.
time. Very good.
I will move in. Oh, but a little counter raid. Numudan gonna find some of the officials and the deer villagers under the TC here.
And he does get 8 villagers going down total is pretty insane. Yes, that is an upgraded TC, but those lances are made of steel. They are barely taking any damage. And, some players, when we watch them, when they're getting attacked like this, the only thing they can do is try to get a counterattack that lands. And it just doesn't feel like Numudan's counterattack did anything here. We see Anotand moving all the way forward onto the big gold here. That's how confident he feels in this very mobile army to be able to fall back and protect when he needs to. Now, these guys are chopping. And Winston, they're getting towers. Those boys are going to be safe all game long.
We'll see. There's not enough room at the end if a raid did come in here. That's only 15 spots for like 25 vills. The counter raid being handled handily by Anotand's many-handed horsemen because they have so many legs and arms. Are horse legs front legs? Could you ever count those as arms? Like,
No,
have you ever done an arm count?
Unless we're watching BoJack Horseman, those are just legs, Winston. Don't personify your horses, please, sir. Oh.
Okay, so arm count is irrelevant to power level in an army. But it's called an army, not a leggy.
Well, in this case,
I like that one.
Anotand has decided on making a pretty big leggy. Winston, should we make this the go-to term? Look at that.
Yeah, the leggy count is looking great for Anotand.
The legs matter when the boats are trying to fight. Those lances are melting everything. But Numudan is trying his best at attacking. It didn't work. So now he pulls back and he's like, okay, I'm going to catch out what you've got, and I'm going to try to shut this down. No promises, as things are on fire. The Onamushas are joining the party too. The Onamushas could be a pretty good unit to have here in general, because those
need a lot.
Yumi... Yeah, you need a lot, but the Yumi, they haven't really done anything. They've looked really good.
Well, the Yumi are good. I was a little surprised that he made Yumi in the first place, because the timing he made them isn't when Yumi really shine. It's like, if you want to make a lot of Yumi, you want to build them up in Feudal Age, and then when you arrive in Castle Age, you just quickly get these upgrades, and you have like 40 of them. But he built 2 Yumi and then went Castle Age, and it's like, well, sure, you have like a decent counter to spears, but like, the mobility and the map state just changes so much at the start of Castle Age, especially in a highly mobile matchup on such an open and aggressive map such as Karlauger, that I'm a little surprised at that choice. It feels like Maybe it was just slightly misreading the situation, maybe waiting for that Onimusha mass instead of investing in the Yumi. Would have been a bit safer, but he does catch out several of the spearmen, but oh boy, you're gonna need like at least 20 or 30 Onimusha with a decent amount of the mounted samurai in front before this really starts to feel good, right? Oh, with the Yumi, they look pretty no more. Their faces are about to get blown to smithereens. Oh, oh,
He doesn't
Just
invest
passing?
too much into killing this. He's just smacking a few of them. He wants them to go home and tell the villagers about that scary
happened?
army that is about to. Yes. There's 2 villagers there on the side as well that might just get targeted on the way out here. Anotand is a man who knows how to attack. Oh, never mind. I was about to give him a really nice compliment, but compliment rescinded as the Lancers are running for their lives. He doesn't want to take a risk here. He's got an extra bit of resources in the bank. Yes, he's got 30 Lancers. And again, we're getting to that point in the HRE game where he asked himself, should I go Imperial? Do I just go for more knights? And the answer was resounding every single time.
But also, a crossbow mass being built up, 3 ranges, a big investment in these crossbows, putting a lot of respect into the mounted samurai here, which, you know, with the bannermen, they're just a better knight, right, than the knights from Shushi here. I think.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to think. Had to double check.
Yeah. So,
Much
Numudan,
better.
though, he
Sorry.
doesn't have an answer to what Anotand is cooking, though. Getting a trebuchet now out here at the front, he doesn't really have anything that's going to handle this. I mean, usually what handles a trebuchet are pure numbers, right? So, question is just, how is he going to get those numbers when his numbers are significantly smaller than his opponents? And that's not something you want to say as the Japanese player here.
Yeah. Especially when you start getting trebucketed.
Oh.
Trebucketed?
Oh,
Trebucketed?
Instead, we
Trebuchet?
missed something.
What do we miss?
Trebuchet, yes, I would say.
No,
16
trebucketed.
dead villagers.
Bucketed.
Trebucketed, okay.
Sorry.
There's 16 dead villagers this game. And I don't know if those
Yes.
are just boats as well, but it feels like that is a lot more than it was 3 minutes ago, so
It was
definitely some
10.
casualties.
It was 10, and then I think both of the docks got attacked kind of over the last like 5-ish minutes. Right? I think that's
Just
what
rest in
happened.
pieces. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of rest with the fishes situation.
Now, Winston's favorite
3
unit, the
trebuchets.
Trebuchet, is everywhere. Now 3 of them. Now, guys,
4?
I think all of us have played against that many trebuchets. And, four trebuchets. So, with the amount of trebuchets at the front of his base, we know this is a ticking time bomb. You can try to repair that thing, but that thing needs a lot of repairing. And with the amount of trebuchets in that base, there's no repairing that will keep this thing alive. So, the counter is imminent.
But that's so many crossbows, 28 crossbows. The transition has been brilliant from Anotand, and now this front line is going to melt instantly. It is not enough Onimusha to delete all of those Lancers as well as quickly, and with this many trebuchets, I feel like Anotand could just build a sandcastle anywhere he wants, because that's enough buckets for anything. Anything. It could be the biggest sandcastle on the whole beach, and Numudan has to accept that Anotand's sandcastle is larger, and he has to tap out. Not only of this game, but this was a best of 5. That was the series. Anotand took it in a really decisive fashion, even with the Game 3 snafu, where it sort of felt like a big, like, feudal mashup of just, like, stats and just full-out aggro. It felt like whenever a game got to, you know, mid-game and got out of that feudal state, it felt like Anotand just had a leg up in both strategy and execution, and when you combo those two things, it just looks like this, right? Like, 21-minute decisive victory over Numudan here. That didn't even look that close, right? It just looks so convincing. Jushi looking solid in the hands of Anotand.
Zushi has been a civilization that's been solid in most people's hands, I think,
Yeah,
and a lot of people,
for sure.
A lot of people respect the Zushi grind, and I think Numudan taking a game here from Anotand, it's important for him because we saw the series count at the start. This was a 9-1, now 10-1 situation. Anotand has always been the favorite here, but Numudan, he's someone who is slowly climbing his way up. Him qualifying for this EGC event already is so massive. We're seeing another Scandinavian making it to the top, and we already have so many just leading the pack. So I'm absolutely so glad for another region to just find their way through. Another region that's blossoming is Belarus, which is wild, scatterbrained, also taking down a lot of people to be here with his brother at arms, Anotand. So I think this says a lot about Numudan's growth. Numudan has definitely blossomed in this, and he did not make all of the games look decisive for Anotand.
Yeah, it was like several of them went really late. I mean, that Altai game was a long one. The HRE one looked, I would say Anotand looked very much so in control the entire game against Ottomans there with HRE. Like that was, I would say, a very calculated game from Anotand, which showed his prowess, I think, very nicely. Numudan, it looked like caught out a few times in that game, and just a little, it just looked a little rough there. But in all the other games, I thought he looked okay. This final one, though, as we see the replay of these raids and just how devastating it is, even trying to get the counter raids and not getting a single villager, it just seems like something just went a little wrong here for Numudan, right? Like, there's just a lot going on. Oh boy. Crazy fight.
Yeah, but Numudan had a pretty decent showing here. Anotand is a full-time... Yeah, Anotand's a full-time player. This man is doing great. So we'll see how he does in the rest of the group as well. I don't think anyone is going to be underestimating Numudan from here on out. So we'll see what that looks like into our next series.